to where exactly the farm supports fit in the overall figure that's been announced for this new super fund has led to a lot of unease, and there's some really bad news for Irish farmers, especially when you consider that the average Irish farmer at the moment is 59. Farmers from 2032 on will not be able to be in receipt of state pension and farm supports.
The salary for the office of the President is too high. That's according to Galway West TD Catherine Connolly, who launched her bid to become President of Ireland this morning. Speaking to the media earlier, Connolly, who's received the necessary backing to run for the Áras, says she wants to prove Ireland can be a different type of country. She says she'd look at the €330,000 a year salary, and money isn't the reason she's running. And that's your news for now.
News Talk weather.
Thanks to Ryanair. Ready for the ride of your life? Watch the Tour de France live with Ryanair's low-fare flights to Paris.
Cloudy tonight with good dry spells in many areas for a time, but further scattered outbreaks of rain and drizzle as well. A band of heavier, showery rain will push in later in the night. Light to moderate southeast to south breezes and lowest temperatures of 13 to 17 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
News Talk's Summer Cash Machine.
Now, after the biggest winner on Irish radio last week, we have another huge amount in the cash machine this week. And the number you now need to know is €101,000 exactly. And there are now two ways you can enter. You can visit newstalk.com/cash machine, where you can enter online, or you can text PLAY to 57557. That's 57557. You have to get your entry in by 3 p.m. on Friday, and then across the Go Loud network of stations, someone will get that call. If your phone rings, you have 5 rings to pick up the phone, then give us the exact amount in euro and cent, and you'll win the cash. So remember that amount. One more time, it is €101,000 exactly. Over 18s only. Text costs €2.50 plus your standard message rate to play. You're playing across the Go Loud network of stations, and terms, conditions are on newstalk.com.
The Football Show on Off the Ball.
With William Hill, you can boost your winnings on every game with new Bet Builder Extra. Only with William Hill. Download the app today. 18 plus gamblingcare.ie.
This is News Talk.
Welcome back to Wednesday nights Off the Ball. We've got a couple of very tense encounters up and running in their second halves at the moment. At the Women's Euros, it's Norway 0, Italy 0 in the 48th minute. That is a quarter-final there. Ciara Grant will join us a little bit later on to react to the closing stages of that. We have Nathan Murphy, though, up at Windsor Park, where at half-time it was Linfield 1, Shelburne 1, so Shell's holding on to that 2-1 aggregate lead. Nathan, what's been happening since?
Yes, still the same on the scoreboard, and also still the same from Shelburne in that they are just obsessed with shooting themselves in the foot defensively. So I mentioned Conor Kearns early in the first half. Edge of his own area, passes the ball straight to Matthew Fitzpatrick, the Linfield attacker, who chips it over his head, and thankfully for Shelburne it went wide. Conor Kearns ended up going off injured later in the first half. His replacement, Lorcan Healy, I'd say 15 seconds into the second half, has the ball on the edge of his area, passes the ball straight to the Linfield attacker, Callum Morrison, who shoots from the edge of the area, and somehow Healy manages to stretch out his right foot and deny him. It's been a real strange performance from Shelburne in that inside their own half, they look incredibly nervous. They've been so sloppy. They've been gifting Linfield opportunities, and Linfield don't need a second invitation to come forward. They're more than happy with a decent home support, a very loud home support behind them to commit men forward. But Shell's actually in the opposition half been really good and have created lots of chances themselves and have played some really nice football, and they might have another chance here as Harry Wood sends the cross in. Kerr McEnroy heads it down. McEnroy's been really, really good in the middle of midfield, keeping things ticking over. Wood and Coote have looked a threat. Odebeko's been a little bit isolated up top on his own, but he's been full of running, and when they've had it on the counter-attack, he's held on to it quite well. But it's just at the back at the moment that Shelburne are just gifting too many opportunities for Linfield and giving Linfield a lifeline. Remember, Shells went in front in the first half. Ali Coote with a really nice finish. And then in first half injury time, we had all sorts of drama, including an equaliser for Linfield from the penalty spot, scored by Chris Shields after was a handball by Tyreek Wilson. And then 6 minutes into injury time, Shells thought they'd scored what would probably be the crucial goal of the tie that would have put them 3-1 up on aggregate. It was scored by Ciara Grant. It was a sensational corner kick, short corner kick move straight from the training ground. But Paddy Barrett had a little hand on the shoulder of the player that should have been marking McEnroy, and the referee, Andy Madley, went over to VAR, had a look at it, and decided to disallow the goal. So it's still very much in the balance. As I said earlier, the first half was as entertaining a 45 minutes as I've seen in a long time, and you just feel that the tension is just going to keep on ratcheting up over the next sort of 35-40 minutes, or maybe even longer if Linfield were to get a goal and send us into extra time.
The game's not available on free-to-air in the Republic of Ireland tonight. So on live score, if that's where you're following it, you'll still be getting an incorrect score on the night. It still says 2-1 to Shelburne, which hasn't updated since the VAR decision corrected the goal before half-time. You say an arm on the shoulder. Was it a soft ruling out of the goal?
Listen, I think he prevents the player making the run. I think what Paddy Barrett would claim is that they both were at it, that there was a little bit going on. Now, Paddy Barrett's a big man. It looked like maybe he might have actually been able to contain two Linfield men, one with either arm. It feels a little bit harsh. I think there might be some question marks about an English referee taking charge of Linfield against Shelburne in the Champions League. And I'm sure that might be something that might come up after the game. But listen, one of those that with VAR, the second he goes across and has a look, and the fact that it was the player who would have been marking Ciara McEnroy probably meant it was always going to go that way. But yeah, it's a strange game. A lot of mistakes from the two defences, and this time Linfield gave it away, and Shelburne were able to go away on the attack, and they managed to force a corner kick. It's a game that's been summed up by both sides. Defenders giving the ball away a lot in and around the halfway line, and teams trying to come then on the counter attack. And to be honest, I've no idea how this is going to end up, but it's huge, as we mentioned earlier on, for Shelburne, both financially, a guaranteed extra €700,000 plus potentially much more in terms of sellout games at Talca Park as they progress through the competition. What they're hoping is that next Wednesday night, if they win this tie, they're going to be playing Karabag in the second qualifying round of the Champions League. Karabag from Azerbaijan, who, as we know, massively successful. Sean Gannon gets it on the penalty spot, he shoots, and there's enough blue jerseys back to just get the block in about 3 yards out from the goal line. That was half a chance for Shelburne. So Shells know if they win this, they're going to be playing Karabag in the next round, which would be a long trip, obviously, to Azerbaijan. And Karabag have they've dominated the Azerbaijan League for the last decade. They're well used to being in group stages of Europa League, as it was last year, Conference League, Champions League even at times as well. So it'll be a very, very tough task. But the main benefit is that they're guaranteed at the very least a place in the playoffs at the Conference League at the end of all this run against a team probably of similar-ish standard as we saw with Shamrock Rovers last season.
And just one last one for you, Nathan. Is this a real sort of welcome to hell moment for Shelburne up there? What's Windsor on a Linfield night like?
It's tasty. It's one of the best football grounds in the country for atmosphere. There's no question about that. So it's an 18,000 capacity stadium, but there's only 7,000 here. And Linfield rarely even, I think, get that. And it's not just because of the security issues around tonight. There's various different reasons that they're only allowed have half the stadium open. But it sounds as though there's about 40,000 people in here. Shells have brought a great crowd, about 1,300. It doesn't feel like there's been any trouble or tension. I'm sure there's been a few chants and a few songs. And when the first sort of band of Linfield supporters came in, they came as close as they could, which is about 100 feet away from the Shell supporters, and there was a bit of back and forth and all of that. And listen, hopefully it all passes peacefully after the game as well. I think it's a game of such importance that actually all of the other nonsense is sort of secondary on a night like this. But I hope it's coming across on the radio just how loud it is for a stadium that is less than half full. You're shaking your head. It's not in any way. Trust me. It is loud inside here.
Yeah, well, you've described it well. You've described it well, Nathan, to be fair. We'll take your word for it. Your microphone is just too good. It just loves the sound of Nathan a little bit more than it likes the sound of everything else up there. So, finally poised. Nathan, we'll be back over to you before full-time up at Windsor Park. I should say Italy have now gone ahead against Norway. It's no more than they deserve, really. They're 1-0 up. It's Cristiana Girelli, the Juventus player, who put them ahead. So we're, 54 minutes in that game at the moment. Norway 0, Italy 1. It's a Euro 2025 quarter-final. And we'll do a bit more on that after the break as Ciara Grant is on standby.
Football on Off the Ball.
With William Hill, you can boost your winnings on every game with new Bet Builder Extra. Only with William Hill. Download the app today. 18 plus gamblingcare.ie.
This is News Talk. Moncrief.
Eddie Hearn of Matchroom, the boxing promoters, who has promoted all of Katie Taylor's fights, I think close to all, if not all, since she became professional, is going to talk about the possibility of a fight in Croke Park. Mary Lou McDonald wants it.
Okay,
she doesn't want the Auris, she wants a fight in Croke Park.
Is she going to fight Katie herself in Croke Park?
For the presidency.
For the presidency. That would be
heard it here first.
That's the battle of the century.
Moncrief. Weekdays at 2 p.m. on News Talk. Conversation that counts.
Charge into summer with TUI. Secure your holiday today with savings for families and adults flying from Dublin, Cork and Shannon. Holiday sorted. TUI. Live happy.
You know that guy I've been seeing?
Yeah?
Turns out my sister's been seeing him too.
Oh, really?
And I heard he's been seeing Siobhan at number 56. And Declan.
Your brother?
Yep.
Specsavers opticians and audiologists own their stores, so your care is their business, which can make them rather popular.
I've got something to tell you. I've got half an hour with them this afternoon.
Specsavers, your care is our business.
Dating apps. I know what you're thinking. They're all the same. They don't work. And to be honest, for a lot of them, you're probably right. But for me, Go Dating was different. For a start, every Go Dating profile and photo is checked by a real person, not some AI bot. And the two-way matching feature actually works. Well, it did for me anyway. So maybe it'll work for you. Go on, give it a go.
Find your someone special. Sign up today at godating.ie. As loved by News Talk.
Football on Off the Ball.
With William Hill, you can boost your winnings on every Premier League game with new Bet Builder Extra. Only with William Hill. Download the app today. 18 plus gamblingcare.ie.
This is News Talk.
You're welcome back. Now at the top of the show we were saying that it's a pretty tasty lineup for the Euro 2025 quarter-finals. We've got Sweden, England tomorrow at 8 o'clock. It's Spain against the host Switzerland on Friday night, and then it's France, Germany on Saturday night. Right now we are 57 minutes deep in Geneva between Norway and Italy. Italy have just taken a 1-0 lead. And I'm delighted to say that Hibs and Ireland midfielder Ciara Grant is with us on the line. Ciara, how are you doing?
I'm not too bad now. Thanks for having me on.
This is a bit of a surprise, is it?
I don't know. The way Norway have been playing this tournament, like they've kind of got, last minute goals to get them through. They really haven't looked like a team that's playing well or playing together. And it honestly baffles me for the amount of world-class players they have on that pitch and experienced world-class players. I don't know, something's just not working for them.
This is not the first time this has happened to Norway at a major tournament.
No, it's not. And even Hegerberg as well, stepping away from international football for a long time as well because she wasn't happy with how things were being run. Have obviously come back in. But I don't know if those changes haven't really gelled yet for the players, or there's still a lot of maybe animosity between the players and the association, but something just doesn't seem right for them.
We don't want to speak too soon either because A, there are 32 minutes left in this game, and B, it looks like Norway have a penalty. So we'll let you know how that goes. But I have seen the odds collapse considerably because Italy were brilliant in that first half.
Mm-hmm. And then Norway kind of started coming into it near the end of probably from the 40 minutes to the 45th. And I can't pronounce that young girl's name, but who nearly chipped the keeper from the halfway line as well. Terrible time to concede a goal, but also then keeps Italy in it to come back out 0-0, get the goal. And honestly, I'm enjoying Italy because I feel like, the Italian men are so enjoyable to watch. They've been, been in and around the top tier of European football for a long time, but the women have kind of fallen off, which is when I was younger, the Italians are always very good. But I think with them professionalising in their league over there. They've a lot of players playing in Italy. I think you can see that on the pitch as well, and they seem to be playing quite well together and playing some nice football. So I'd actually love for them to win.
Yeah, it's amazing how the national identity of a sports nation just is so clear when you look at tournaments like this, because as Hegerberg steps up and she's missed a penalty, she's hit it to the right and wide, her second missed penalty this tournament. Didn't even hit the target. I'll get a closer look on replay, but I think she's missed it to the right hand side. That is an absolute shocker. But I was just going to make the point, Ciara. I'm just going to watch this replay first. Miles wide, terrible penalty from Hegerberg. I was literally just about to make the point that the national identities that we associate with these footballing countries, naturally largely informed by the men's team, seems to have maintained, certainly in this matchup, where Norway, even on the men's side of things, have been flaky relative to their insane level of available talent. And Italy, the exact opposite. You write Italy off at the start of a tournament, they'll come along with a team quite often filled with players that we're not overly au fait with, and they go deep into a competition and quite often win it. It seems that the women have the same thing about them.
Yeah, I think so. And I don't know, you need your big players that are step up in big tournaments, and her missing that penalty the second of the tournament, is that a sign of what's going on behind the doors? I don't know. But for the Italians, yeah, I just love it. The passion, the style, the aggression that they play with. It's incredible to watch. And I think that underdog ethos, even for them, probably coming into the tournament, feeds into their culture of football. So yeah, I hope it goes their way now for the next half an hour.
As I say, some really interesting quarterfinals coming up. Sweden versus England tomorrow should be really, really interesting. England, obviously, after losing the opening game of the tournament, are kind of angry at the moment, but they come up against a team with serious pedigree in Sweden. Can you make a case for the underdog in this one, or are England carving out a path to the final?
I think it's so hard because before the tournament started, you probably would have put Sweden as the underdogs against, the reigning champions. But then that first game performance had everybody kind of out in England from the start. I think I actually got them in the sweepstake in my club here.
Right.
And I'm like, what is going on? I thought that was a guaranteed final. But then the second game, they really step it up, show what they can do. Their subs coming on in both the last two games, showing the calibre and depth of squad they have. I think that maybe just scared them that first game and turned a switch in all their heads to really step it up. Now Wales obviously weren't the best competition for them, prepping them for the quarters to really show what they're going to be like now against another big team. But to push aside the Dutch 4-0 is, that's no easy feat. So I do think England will be favourites. But again, Sweden have a lot of good players, a lot of experienced players, and also beat Germany well. That's near impossible. The Germans usually only lose by 1 or 2 goals. So I think it's going to be a really exciting game and quite evenly matched.
Lucy Bronze was really interesting this week. She's talking about the pressure that every player at the European Championships feels in terms of their performance because of the boost that the entire sport receives as a result of success. Like she kind of made it more in the context of what the Swiss must be feeling as hosts of this tournament. Maybe kind of pointing to what they were feeling at the start of this tournament as well. They had such a level of success 3 years ago, and that success was credited as one of the reasons why the sport itself has boomed over the last 3 years. So that is quite a responsibility to be carrying on your team's shoulders going into a tournament.
It is, and I would guess that they probably didn't feel that at the last Euros because it was the start of all this. Whereas the attention that they got pre and post last Euros was night and day. And yes, the momentum, the investment, the build, the WSL, even here in Scotland, all across Europe has really started since then. So now maybe that they've seen that come, then they go into this tournament as favourites, but also kind of maybe holding that pressure on them a little bit. But again, Lucy Bronze is an extremely experienced player, and maybe is kind of coming to that more sense because she's at the end of her career. Maybe there's a few more years left, and maybe she is reflecting on her entire career and how big the game has got and what she has done for the game. So maybe she was talking a little bit about herself, but also the tournament. And I think for the Swiss, Leah Welty, her Instagram posts, her comments, they really come from the heart. And again, a player in her 30s who's probably come from maybe very poor support from the Swiss to now hosting the Euros and getting to the quarterfinals. Like, it is really a dream come true for them, and they probably hope that will then reflect on football in Switzerland, like it did for England.
It seems they're doing a pretty good job as host. It's attendance figures are in a really good position. I think we had Certainly I had kind of written off the boost in figures that were likely to happen because there was no Wembley, there was no mega stadium in this tournament, but actually the baseline has just gone up to a whole new level over the course of this tournament, and it hasn't hurt whatsoever that there's been plenty of drama and some really good quality.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the location of Switzerland, it's perfect. I actually was there in the summer and I was like, oh, sure, half an hour, 2 hours in every direction, you're in a different country. So I think that even like the Italians today, like the crowd they have there is massive because it's not far for the Italians to actually get to the games. So I do think the location is perfect for Euros. Like it's very central, and it is great. And yeah, I think even in the early stages of the group games, there was full houses nearly. And Switzerland is a beautiful country. So even for the players, I know they definitely, I don't know if you noticed in the first few games, I thought the quality of the games were quite poor. And I don't know if that was the heat. Like the heat was very, very hot. And I felt like the pace of the game, like some of the mistakes the players were making were very, like, not the standard they would hold themselves to. So I think the location was perfect, but the temperature definitely affected, I'd say, the first few games.
Hegerberg has just made amends for it. She has equalised for Norway. A lovely breakdown, the right-hand side, one of those where the keeper comes out to her, just not quick enough. She manages to poke the ball under the keeper's legs, and then two Italian defenders come flying back, and they're just too slow to get there as well. It's probably going to take a couple of seconds for this to be confirmed because she's right on the offside line, but it looks like she's just onside, Hegerberg, to have made amends. They just taken Manham off before that. I don't know, you'd know more than I would, Ciara, but is Frida Manham not somebody you want on the pitch if you're seeking a goal?
I thought she would be somebody you definitely want on the pitch because she's often scores from quite far out as well. So she might not give you those runs in behind, but maybe because the Italians are closing them so fast, the manager might have just gone for a change of tactics there, maybe bringing on some speed, trying to move the Italians a bit more. But I highly rate Frida Manham. But again, if she's not playing that well today, then maybe it's just time for a sub.
Yeah, totally fair. So that's Hegerberg's second goal of the tournament in 3 matches. So it's Norway 1, Italy 1, 67 minutes on the clock there. Just to go back to England, one of the big questions that we had after the opening day of the tournament from their perspective was just their midfield athleticism, power, mobility. It was all a bit of a disaster. Has the shifting away of Lauren James actually helped and fixed everything, or is there still massive concerns in that department for you?
I don't know. I think, they're even from stature, like they're not the biggest players, but they are flair players. I think Lauren James needs to be like away from the centre of attention on the pitch. I don't think she needs to be given a defensive role, a running role. I think she needs to be one of those players where you almost have to fit your team around her to give her as much freedom in attack as you can, because when Lauren James has the ball, she is near impossible to get the ball off, and the things she creates, the things she sees. So it's not only her own skill, but it's also the things she's creating for the players around her. I think is really important. I think that clicked a bit more in the last 2 games. I think Stanway's also her performances have improved, and I think again just the rotation that Wiegman. I know she's known for starting the same team, playing their own team, but her subs I think have been really impactful, and I think that is allowing them a bit more strength in the midfield as well.
So when it comes to the lineup that she's going to go with tomorrow night, you don't necessarily expect anything to change too much. So it was Russo, Hemp, James kind of on the right, and then you've got Walsh, Stanway, Toon. Is that basically the front 6, so to speak, that she'll go with tomorrow night?
I think so. I think Walsh will never change. Stanway's definitely, as I said, has improved. And I think Toon coming in, I don't know, maybe she looked pretty angry that she hadn't started the first game. So I think she's really stepped up as well. But even having Beaver Jones on the bench, like she's an engine that can come on. She hasn't been given much game time, but it's not a bad replacement too if they need a bit more legs in there. But Ella Toon, Stanway, even for their small, slight statures, like they work hard and they tackle hard. So, and I think that then allows Ciara Walsh to kind of concrete herself as a 6 for what they say in the UK, and let the other 2 kind of go and attack.
How would Ireland have got on in that group?
I know I've been thinking about this the last week. I was sad watching because I know one of the girls in the Wales team, so I was secretly supporting them. But it was sad not seeing Ireland there. Obviously, it was an extremely tough group. You've got 3 huge oppositions, but the results Wales had against them, do I think Ireland would have lost as much? Absolutely not. I think Ireland would have competed a bit more. We've had, half decent results against those 3 teams over the last 4 years, and have proven that we can compete at the top level there. But at the end of the day, we didn't qualify, and I know a lot of the girls will be hard watching, I'd say, that group stage.
Yeah, because there does seem to be an acceleration, all right, of a couple of the teams in that group. Like even that France team at the moment, they look like they've made a step up from the France team that we played in the Nations League.
I think so, and I think even athleticism. The first two French games, especially the first one against Wales. I know that might be direct comparisons, but the French just looked like they were having fun, and the speed, the strength, the play, it was incredible to watch. But it did look like a lot stronger team than we have faced recently, and again with very talented subs coming off the bench.
What way are you calling this now at this point? Does the victor of this game, for example, give you pause for thought, or actually you think to yourself it's going to be, quote unquote, some of the bigger women's football nations that are actually going to make up the finalists?
I'll give you my 4 semi-finalists. Okay. I think it's going to be Spain, France, England and Italy.
And England, Italy, who's going to win that?
I think Italy will win that, and God, Spain and France is a hard one to call because 2 very different football styles. I'd like to call France.
Yeah. Okay, very interesting.
It would be very interesting. But again, Spain have so much experience in the last few years of just getting things over the line too. So I don't know. I know I need to call. I'll go France, England final.
Okay, right. Okay, well, I hope your Italian take lasts at least longer than 20 minutes from now as this game develops. Yeah. I did want to ask you about your own situation. Pre-season coming up soon after a great end to last season, or you're not thinking about that for now?
We're in. We're in second week because we have Champions League qualifying round at the middle of August. So they just brought us in a wee bit earlier, but still gave us a good break. Although some of my friends playing the championship in England are still off after a very long break. But no, we've come back, started exactly as we ended last year. Pre-season's been really good grouping again. They've been running us hard, working us hard. But no, we're excited. We're headed to Florida now in 2 weeks' time to play Jacksonville in one of the new the alternative league in America and the new league that started. We're playing them in a friendly. So that's going to recreate kind of how hot it's going to be in Cyprus for us. So it's like the perfect preparation. Although I think the humidity, the American, our goalkeeper Noah is American, and she says it's like running underwater with that humidity. So wow. Yeah, I must text Denise and ask her how she gets. But yeah, no, a very exciting year ahead. And I don't know if you've heard, but this year in Europe, there's going to be a Europa League for the women's. So if we just win one of those games out of that early stage qualifiers, we're guaranteed European football with Europa qualifiers. So we're kind of lucky in a sense, because from next year, it's going to be third place in the Scottish League that directly qualify for Europa.
It underlines how important this clash is with the Cypriot side as well. They are champions of the Cyprus League, are they?
They are, yeah. And so we're actually playing the Danish team, Fortuna. The Cypriot team are playing the Swiss champions. Okay. But 3, good teams that have all been in around Champions League for quite a while. Fortuna, Herring, Roma McLaughlin actually from Donegal played for them for a season, so I'll be messaging her too, trying to get the sus. But they've made it to the last 16 Champions League before as well, so they're going to be a good team.
Talk to us about the celebrations at the end of last season. Are we talking multi-day or are we talking multi-week?
I can tell you for one thing that the Scots are like the Irish, but they don't party as hard as the Irish. But no, it was great, and we all went back to Easter Road afterwards, and they had a big function on at the club and stuff, so it was brilliant. But it was the end of a 3-game week, so I think a lot of people were tired. A few of the girls actually booked a last-minute trip away and stuff, so it was great. And I think just how we won it, everything, it was just brilliant. I don't think you could have wrote how it was going to go down to the last game, and the pressure that we had on us too, because if we had lost that game and City won, which they did, we could have finished third and not qualified for Europe at all.
Jeez, it was an insane end to the season.
It was. But to win at Ibrox was pretty sweet, and I had the family in the stand and stuff, so it was a nice day, nice weekend all around.
Happy days. Did you go full Katie McCabe on it?
No, I did not.
Right. I don't think many people could, to be fair. Listen, Ciara, it's been great chatting to you, but very best of luck with pre-season, and most importantly, the Champions League title is coming up, and who knows where that's going to lead to. The Europa League obviously is there this season as well, as you mentioned, so hopefully a long European journey. Appreciate your time this evening.
Yeah, thank you very much. All the best now.
Cheers. That's Ciara Grant on the line of Hibs and of Ireland. 75 minutes on the clock. It's Norway 1, Italy 1. We'll take a quick break.
Football on Off the Ball.
With William Hill, you can boost your winnings on every game with new Bet Builder Extra. Only with William Hill. Download the app today. 18 plus gamblingcare.ie.
This is News Talk.
In need of a holiday with Aer Lingus? Start collecting one Avios per euro or pound spent on eligible Uber trips in the Republic of Ireland and the UK. Plus, for a limited time, you can get 500 bonus Avios when you link your Uber and Air Club accounts and take an Uber trip. Go places with Uber, see the world with Aer Lingus. Visit t.uber.com/Aer Lingus for details. Offer ends the 31st of July 2025. Terms and conditions apply.
Join Gomo today and get 1 month free. With Gomo, you get all calls, texts, all 5G data for just $14.99 a month for life. Switching is easy. Visit gomo.ie, sign up, and you are good to Gomo. So what are you waiting for? Join Gomo and get 1 month free. Hurry, offer ends soon. Unlimited data refers to domestic use only. 30-day contract applies. A once-off SIM activation fee of $14.99 applies. For full details, terms, roaming and text fair use, see gomo.ie.
3 out of every 4 suicides in Ireland are men. Too many suffer in silence, trapped by stigma. Let us break the stigma in support of men's mental health. Join Cycle Against Suicide for King of the Castle Cycle with Sean Kelly, starting from Malahide Domain, Sunday, August 3rd. Full details at cycleagainstsuicide.com. Proudly supported by Mel Sutcliffe and Quanta Capital.
Football on Off the Ball.
With William Hill, you can boost your winnings on the Sunday game with new Bet Builder Extra. Only with William Hill. Download the app today. 18 plus gamblingcare.ie.
This is News Talk.
You're welcome back. 76 minutes on the clock there in Geneva. It's still 1-1 between Norway and Italy at Euro 2025 in the quarter-finals. It's still 1-1 on the night as well up at Windsor Park. It's Linfield 1, Shelburne 1. Shelburne 2-1 up on aggregate. Nathan, things getting nervy?
We've got 5 minutes left and Shelburne are in total control now because the big moment was when Linfield were reduced to 10 men. I mentioned how both sides were just so sloppy in and around the halfway line as a shot comes in from the edge of the area from Linfield, curling towards the top corner, but well saved by the replacement goalkeeper, Lorcan Healy. But Ben Hall, the centre-back for Linfield, was sent off midway through the second half. Shells were starting to get on top around them, but Linfield gave it away in midfield under no pressure to Mipo Adebeko. He was bearing down in goal. Hall brought him down while he was midway inside the Linfield half. There was only one decision for the referee, which was to send them off. And since then, until that opportunity just moments ago, Linfield have rarely got out of their own half. And Shelburne are on the cusp of a massive victory and a place in the second qualifying round of the Champions League if they can hang on for the next 5 minutes or so.
Right, okay. This would not necessarily be against the run of play because it sounds, Nathan, by the second half that Shelburne have started to flex their muscles a small bit. It's been a little bit more like last week where they are the better team of these two.
And also, they have that level of match fitness being midway through their season where Linfield are still in pre-season and Linfield have made their changes. They've tried to shuffle things up, but been down to 10 men. And I'm sure with the fatigue really starting to creep in, unsurprisingly, Shells have started to become more and more dominant. It's been a strange old game. As I said, the first half was brilliantly entertaining. It was end-to-end. There was non-stop action, which is probably not what Joey O'Brien wanted because Shelburne just kept giving the ball in dangerous positions to Linfield and letting them build momentum and get the crowd behind them. But actually, inside the Linfield half, and particularly I think McEnroy, Coos, Wood, Adebeko, all have had decent games. All have had good focus when they got on the ball in the opposition area. And they've had a couple of half chances in this second half as well. Evan Caffrey had the best of them actually on the right-hand side. The ball found its way to him. They had an overlap. And he shot across goal and it just went inches past the left-hand post. But yeah, I think over the course of the two games, there's no doubt that Shelburne have been the better team. And listen, maybe just the pressure of tonight and the expectation made for a few nerves in that first half. There's no question if they progress here, they're going to have to improve massively between now and next week when they play Karabakh, which will be a huge step up from what they faced tonight. But it was all about getting through this first qualifying round. For the league winners, this is the most important tie of all, because there's a massive financial reward and there's a guarantee of at least 3 more rounds of qualifiers: Champions League, Europa League, Conference League, and then just one tie needed to be won to get through to the group stage of the Conference League, and all that goes with that, again, in terms of the financial rewards and the sporting rewards. And a big Shelbourne support have come up here tonight, over 1,300 of them, all in red across the stadium from where I'm sitting right here. And I think they know, after a crazy few weeks for the club off the pitch, that on the pitch, this is seismic.
Yeah, it's looking good. There are 3 minutes of normal time remaining, so we'll just stick with this until we actually get the full-time score. We do want to play your piece with Matt Wallace up at Port Russia. Of course, you're double jobbing this week, from golf correspondent to football correspondent. Get you a guy who can do both, they say. Nathan, this is obviously a big thing with regards to the experience of this. You mentioned the fans going on, hopefully a big European journey for the first time in a long time as Shelbourne fans. But as Shelbourne players, this is also totally alien, and it would have felt different going up there today, especially after the way last week went. They'll have felt that they should have been 2-3 goals up going up there. So as we were talking about at 7 o'clock this evening, dealing with that pressure and getting over the line tonight is going to be huge.
Yeah, and listen, the result will say they dealt with the pressure. The performance in the first half will suggest maybe they didn't. But listen, we'll do a little bit of scoreboard journalism. We will look at the bigger picture at the end of all this, and they will have learned a huge amount. And remember, they lost their captain, Mark Coyle, very early in the game. He picked up a knock right at the start of the match. They lost their goalkeeper, Conor Kearns, in the first half as well. So they've had to change things around. Listen, they've been fortunate they were able to bring on a player of the experience of Sean Gannon, and he's done really well since he came on. But this isn't the easiest place in the world to come to when, as I mentioned, the noise is coming and the vitriol that's coming from the Linfield supporters. But really, once Linfield went down to 10 men, they've been able to show that bit of quality in midfield. And I've been so impressed with Ciara McEnroy, who started the season brilliantly. One of the Shells players who's faded over the last few months, but he's ran the show in the middle of midfield. And now they're just camped inside the Linfield half again. And this is big for, not just for Shells, but for Joey O'Brien as well. Probably gives him a nice little bit of breathing space where, as I say, they'll want to go and perform against Carabag and pull off one of the greatest results in the history of Irish football. But they know they're going to have this run now over the next 6 weeks in Europe, guaranteed, that they can enjoy, and the games should get easier as they go along, as they move down through the competitions. Or maybe they can stun us all and extend their run in the Champions League and win another tie, or win a tie in the Europa League and take full advantage of this. But the Shelbourne supporters, I think, now sense that this is almost done. There was probably a little bit of nerves in that crowd over there as well. And this is a club who've had some of the greatest European nights in the history of Irish football, but I'd imagine a lot of those don't remember what happened over 20 years ago, over 2 decades ago at this stage. So any League of Ireland supporter you talk to, they all talk about the European runs and getting to travel to different parts of Europe, maybe a bit further afield than Belfast, and I'm sure a lot of them will head to Azerbaijan as Meepo's through. Oh, and he shoots at the near post and the keeper saves. That would have put the icing on the cake. 6 minutes of injury time to come home. Poor old Matt Wallace may have to wait. Poor old Matt Wallace may have to wait. Maybe worth a couple of quid, Matt Wallace. He's trying to get on the Ryder Cup team. He was with us last year, old Matt Wallace, in September, came on the show, and he sort of said, listen, I'm going to qualify for the Ryder Cup, and I'm going to do everything it takes this year. I'm going to play every tournament I need to play, whatever it takes to get on that team. And he's 11th in the rankings. He's given himself a chance, but he knows he needs a top 3 or 4 finish over the next few weeks to do something. And he played earlier today with Shane Lowry. He played yesterday with Darren Clark, so he's getting a lot of links expertise. So I really hope it does work out for Matt Wallace. But we should probably stick with this because you can't watch this, remember. It's not on TV. I think it's on the BBC iPlayer. Might be the only place, or people might be on their dodgy boxes somewhere finding a way to watch this. But the first leg was on TV last week. The second leg isn't on TV this week because obviously the Women's European quarterfinal is on RTE. So I don't know if there's going to be TV coverage next week of the Carabag game. Of course, there could be a lot of teams in action next week with Shamrock Rovers and hopefully Pats as well in Conference League qualifiers next Thursday night. But if they can hold on here, it'll be next Wednesday night in Talca Park. And Sean Boyd has come on, and as he did last week, he's made a real impact alongside Odebeko, and would have given it away. And Linfield supporters getting a little bit frustrated because, well, ever since they've gone down to 10 men, they've really lost any sort of momentum in the game at all. And David Healy, it's a momentous night for David Healy. David Healy's managing Linfield for the 500th time.
Wow.
Tonight, which would make us all feel old, because it doesn't feel like that long since David Healy was playing. But it is 20 years ago in a couple of weeks since he scored that goal against England for Northern Ireland, which was up there with, I'd say, the best days of his career, up there with the hat-trick against Spain. But 500 games has been in charge of Linfield. But he's not going to be celebrating tonight, it looks like, Owen, because Shelburne have a throw-in deep inside the Linfield half of the pitch, and they can just play a little bit of keep ball up there now and try and hang on and try and get through to that second game, in second round against Qarabag next week.
What's going to happen with Sean Boyd next week? Is he going to start or not? Because there was a real sense when we were chatting last week that he would have to start for the second leg.
No, I don't think so, considering... Well, listen, Qarabag's going to be a very different type of game where you just want to hang on in there somehow. I think it was Dundalk that played them in 2019 and they got beaten over there, but, they got a draw on home soil. So, Shell's at home in the first leg. You just want to make sure you still can keep it alive and give yourself a hope. So maybe he thinks Boyd can offer something different up top, but Adebayo's done really well tonight. Like, he's been isolated at times from Coote and from Wood, and even right there he's held onto the ball brilliantly under a little bit of pressure and a bit of afters as well. So I don't think you could drop Meepo after the way he's performed tonight. It's just as if they want a slight change in shape. And again, with Mark Coyle injured, is it a simple thing to bring Gannon in from the start? Maybe that's the straightforward thing. But, I think, again, they'll be looking at this and so satisfied with the level of performance that they got from a lot of the players that, maybe Joey O'Brien has found what his preferred 11 is after a spell where really Duff was making a lot of changes again and again. And here's Evan Caffrey, and he just curls one with his left foot over the top of the crossbar, inches away again from a third goal there. So, yeah, it's one last chance now, I think, for Linfield. They've got themselves a goal kick. The good thing for Shells, again, is because of those Monday night fixtures they played earlier in the season, they don't have to play this weekend. So, again, they can come into it fresh, 7-day break, and give their absolute everything for that match against Qarabag. Linfield, to be honest, look completely out on their feet here. Completely out on their feet. And you'd have to think that factor of summer soccer against the regular winter season has made a big impact here.
Yeah, it definitely is. Do you reckon we are looking at our best chance of an Irish representative in the group stages of European competition this year? I know St. Pat's are in the mix tomorrow night, but Rovers in the Conference League?
Yeah, well, the difficulty for Rovers is they have to go through 3 rounds of qualifiers. Now, they are going to be seeded all the way through, but Shelburne, worst case scenario for them right now is they're in that final playoff round for the Conference League. Worst case scenario. So big night, hopefully in Talca Park. Maybe they'll end up having to play it in Tala or somebody else. Maybe they'll go to the Aviva Stadium for a big Conference League playoff. That's worst case scenario for them. Shamrock Rovers are going to have to be looking at the draw and hoping that they get favourable draws and performances, but they've shown that they can do it, and they are in a far better position this summer than they were 12 months ago in terms of the level that they're performing to. So, you don't want to get too carried away in a night like this, but I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibilities that both Shelburne and Shamrock Rovers could end up in the Conference League. But for Rovers, because of the fact that they're going to have to go through and they're reliant on the draw, and even getting to the playoff could end up taking a lot out of them. I think funnily enough, despite their lack of experience, you probably have Shelburne as the more likely because of that stopgap that you constantly have.
Yeah, that's fair. I should say as well, in Geneva, 89 minutes on the clock, it's Norway 1, Italy 1, so this could be heading to extra time and potentially penalties after that. So 88 minutes on the clock there, 95 minutes on the clock up at Linfield. So an enjoyable evening all around, Nathan. Would go again.
Oh, brilliant. First half was brilliant. Referee has the whistle in his mouth and he's blown the full-time whistle, and Shelburne are through to the second qualifying round of the Champions League. Their supporters rightly going wild over on the far side of the pitch. That sea of red over there have got the performance they wanted. They've got the result they wanted. And much like 9-10 months ago when Shamrock Rovers were here beating Larne, the Shelburne players are going across the pitch to celebrate with their supporters. Sean Gannon in the midst of it. One of the greatest players the League of Ireland has ever seen, who's seen as many big nights of club football of anybody, and he's over there loving every minute of this. And you'd have to say over the two games, thoroughly deserved. Listen, they put them through the ringer. There's no doubt about that. But they've got the job done, and they go on to play Carabag next week.
Nathan Murphy, thank you for that. Good news for Shelburne. Good news for Italy. They've just taken the lead in the 90th minute. But we've got to bring you back to Golf Weekly because it is week of the Open in Royal Portrush. Nathan Murphy has sat down with Matt Wallace.
Really good to talk to you. Thanks for taking the time because you're a bit windswept and rain-sodden and full experience over 9 holes on the back 9. How was it for you out there?
Yeah, it was great. It's great to be back. Memories of